example of Kefa Swani. You know,
but
he's a captain.
They are not the coaches.
They are not the coaches, but
maybe to put out their team that plays in the style he wants. Not
but
the
then, let me tell you the perspective of a player. I'm a football player myself. Sometimes you can find a coach who brings a style that is not suitable with the players. For you to bring a certain style of play, it depends with the kind of players that you have. Some players will adapt easily based on their technical abilities or skills. Some may not, so you just put on a certain style that can maybe adapt to them. Some players will not agree with your style of play. You've seen even at Manchester United, when they had Louis van Gaal, some players did not agree with his style of play. When David Moyes came, some players thought that he was so defensive.
There and give their best. You mentioned Manchester United players. The current issue is about Sturridge, you know, complaining that he wants to play centrally at Liverpool. But then the coach is saying
you have to play wide positions.
You have to play wide. And those positions are nominal. You can always shift. So I don't
think
understand
about this
how
that is
cannot happen at AFC.
That's Sturridge. Yeah. If it's at AFC Leopards, you have how many Sturridge that don't want that thing to happen? Maybe 7 or 8. If you have half the team not agreeing with your style of play, then you're not going to perform. That's why I say that you need a coach who can keep the team together. I'll tell you one coach that I really like in Kenya. His name is Mickey Wache. He coaches a second-tier team known as Strathmore. I don't think Mickey Wache is that great of a tactician, but there's one thing that he has. He knows how to keep his players together. And if you play for Mickey Wache, you'll win any match. So sometimes it comes down to the coach. And how do you keep your players together? How do you keep the unit together? Sometimes you don't have to be a dictator. You also have to listen to players. Most of these coaches that you're saying, they're just dictators. Whatever he says goes.
Yeah, because sometimes they want to put out the team that plays in his own image. We've seen that what Klopp is trying to do at Liverpool. But then enough of that. Gor Mahia, the coach of Marcelo, is reported to have fired the goalkeeping coach. And raises the question, therefore, that how far are we from the practices out there where a coach comes in with his backroom staff? Because we've just read that some Gor Mahia officials are saying that Marcelo has no powers to fire anyone. It's just like he's an employee like any other person.
Like any other person.
Did he come with his backroom staff? Was he given the leeway?
He came with his backroom staff, but maybe not enough. To be honest, for any coach, for any manager, would like to go to a club with his backroom staff. But then you find most of our clubs here, I wouldn't say they're professional. Maybe say they're trying to be semi-professional. So maybe because of the budget and everything, they're not going to give you a huge budget. Because when you talk about a backroom staff, you're talking maybe between 8 to 10. Maybe in a situation of Africa, you can say maybe 5 to 7. You know, that's a lot of people that you're bringing from Brazil if you're Zimaria. So you're finding other coaches that were here. And maybe he was not willing to work with them. And one of my good friends, also a coach, James Nando, went to Thika, and he said he'll work along until he finds someone that he can work with. He didn't want to work with the people that were there. Because there's there's that notion that you might sabotage me for the sake of this job, because everyone wants this head job. So you might sabotage me to get this job. So that's why it is important for a coach to come with his backroom stuff.
The reason I find it difficult really to understand or believe what is being said about Marcelo is he's a big player. He was a big player.
He was a player.
He's an Olympic medalist. He played for Brazil. He played at Roma.
He played in the Serie A.
So you want to tell me that with all those experiences, now he doesn't know what needs to be done at Gor Mahia?
That's one thing. There's another thing about people. If you ever studied sports psychology, you have to adapt. Sometimes you have to adapt. It's not every time that people have to adapt to you. And it depends, because Kenya is a third world country. The African style of play is way, way different from the European style of play, from maybe the Brazilian style of play. You find those are kind of players that you can divide football in 3 aspects. That is the technical aspect, the skillful aspect, and the power aspects. You find most African players, we just have power, and maybe bring in the technique. Maybe the level of skill is not the level of skill like in Brazil. So you find of these 3 different aspects, there's a difference in coaches.
The coach also ends up being frustrated.
He might end up being frustrated because he came and said he wants Samba. You know, he has to adapt. I'll give you an example of Pep Guardiola. Do you really think tiki-taka will work in the English Premier, Manchester
It might
City?
take quite a while.
It will, the reason why it was for
because I
Arsene
saw
Wenger, he's been there for 10 years.
Yesterday I
over
saw
10 years.
some flashes of, kind of tiki-taka.
Just
but
flashes,
then
but
at the end of it all, Man City really struggled to hold on to the 2-1 win. But then, is it a case of Kenyans saying, there's a way we do our things here at Gor Mahia. There's a way we do our things.
And that goes
here
everywhere,
at
not just Gor Mahia alone. That goes everywhere. In
But
Swahili,
then what is the need
in
then
Swahili you
to
say
bring
kila
someone
mahali
from
kuna itikadi zake.
Yes.
In every place you'll go, there are traditions and laws there. There's their culture there. When you come there, try and adapt to that culture. And then bring in your philosophy slowly by slowly. You know, I think that's one thing that Zimaria would have done, that would have worked for him. You saw Natal. He adapted. And he won titles for Gor Mahia because he sees the kind of players that are there. And then he tries and gels in them with his own style.
Yeah.
You know, if these players are running too much, I remember a team that used to come from Western Kenya, is Mumias Sugar.
Yes.
Remember Mumias Sugar was a very, very good team, Nzoia Sugar. But you could see the kind of football they played. Very, very different from city teams like Mathare United or Bandari from Mombasa.
Thank you very much. We are talking about AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia. They've been bundled out of the GOTV Cup, and the manner in which they were, torn apart by AFC Leopards were torn apart by Western Steamer, and Gor Mahia were eliminated by Nzoia United. By no means, we are not saying that Nzoia United is not a good team, but they are very organized, and Bernard Malala is doing a fantastic job. But then there are issues within Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards that need to be addressed. Remember, you can interact with us. We have our phone lines open. You can talk to us, share with us your views. Let's move now to the Olympic fiasco. They are calling it Rio fiasco. And
Such a circus.
It's a circus, as you say. Then the aftermath of that is that the Sports Cabinet Secretary, Hassan Wario, has dissolved NOC. Some people have hailed it as a step towards the right direction. Others have said he has jumped the gun. What is your view?
My view is, he should have done that even earlier. But I think I smell some mischief in him. I've never trusted this guy. And I remember since we started this show, I've always told you that I don't like this guy because his management skills are wanting when it comes to sporting issues. I think the reason he's reacting fast because his job is on the line. The president mentioned him. The president is his employer. So if the president fires, you have no job. And then we have all these politicians that are calling for you to resign. So his job is on the line, so he has to do something.
But then what are the merits of his actions anyway?
I think he's on the line. He did well, but why are you waiting for your boss to say something so that you can do something? You know, my problem is with this knock that we have, I mean, the irregularities were way before even we were preparing for Olympics. He should have pipped his nose in there. He's the big boss. Why do you wait for something to happen and then you start giving excuses because your boss has mentioned something?
Yes, because just before they left for Rio, the cabinet secretary went to Eldoret, the High Performance Center, and there were issues that were raised. Wesley Korir, the MP for Cherengani, also the team
captain.
Yes, he raised some issues, and then later on he said that it looks like nobody took him serious.
Exactly, nobody took him serious, and that's my question. Why was he going to the camp? You're supposed to go to the camp to assess the situation. You're not supposed to go to the camp to eat nyama choma with them. Why he was even in Rio. What was he doing there? Waiting for the cocktail parties to go dance in the evening? That is not his job.
But then he has come back. He has come back and took a decision. Was it grounded on law?
I think it's grounded on law because if you read the Sports Act 2013 article, I think 25, it said the intervention of a cabinet secretary in management when a sports organization fails to comply with the recommendation of an inspection.
Yes.
So for NOC, the Secretary General, Francis Kinyuri Paul, has said that they are not getting out of office. And for them, in my opinion, Hassan Wario is online according to the Sports Act because he can exercise his powers and function of the sports organization to exclusion of its official, including the use of corporate seals, where the sports organization concerned has been unable to conduct its affairs in a proper manner. In my opinion, NOC has been unable to conduct itself in a proper manner.
That's your opinion, but then the laws clearly says there that if a sports body fails to act on the recommendations of an inspection. The question is, and everyone is asking out there, is that did Wario base his decision on an inspection? Was there any recommendations? were there any recommendation? Was there any investigation done? And then a document is brought that indicts the NOC officials.
There are two ways you can see this. Our Rio has launched an 8-member. He has a panel of 8 members that are supposed to, a probe committee that are supposed to investigate and report back by September 30th. On the other side, NOC feel that it's not fair.
Why couldn't he wait until after all that time?
You have a point, and that's what also argument that he should have waited for NOC to give his report, because Francis Kinyu report says that they have not been given time to issue their report.
Yes.
So he also has a point. And Wario itself has an 8-member probe committee that is supposed to report back by September 30th. So he should have maybe given them time, get their report, assess them clearly, and then maybe after the report, come out and say, I will disband you or I will not disband you.
Because he's been accused of reading the law, the Kenyan law, independent of the Olympic Charter, that because we subscribe to international, to the charters of international bodies, we ought to look at our law, look at what does the Olympic Charter say, before you take action. Because right from the word go, we agree, you and I agree that there's no recommendation, there's no inspection.
There's no inspection, true.
Are we reacting to the public anger in social media and also the mainstream media?
I just said it. He's reacting to it because his job is in the line. He's under pressure. I can assure you that guy 90% he doesn't get sleep. He's under pressure because he's going to lose his job. So he's reacting to this pressure. But then if you see at these allegations of NOC, I'll give you an example of the Uasin Gishu County. They gave 60,000 to 50, how many athletes were there? 56 field and track athletes. 60,000 to pay them for just to train there. And then you have the Nandi County government, which issued 1 million Kenya shillings to the rugby team. And then you have the government that issued 583 million Kenya shillings that was supposed to pay in allowances. And then we're finding these issues of an athlete, like the 2011 the World Championships was in South Korea, Daegu. Those athletes haven't been paid, and you're wanting to pay them with this money. Toski. Are you serious here?
This is a problem, clearly.
There's a problem. But and then the Nike kit issue, that's another issue. The Secretary General for NOC, Francis Kinyiri Paul, in as much as he has his complaint, but then we will have athletes that have inadequate training kits. How would we find these kits in your office when they see ID raided your office? Did you see the Kenyan team? Did you see the Kenyan team in the opening ceremony?
That is the NOC offices.
But why didn't you issue them? Did you see us when we were paraded for the opening ceremony? It was ridiculous. We didn't even have exactly. So what were the uniforms doing there?
You mentioned about those uniforms being found at the NOC offices. Where else would you have expected them to keep the uniforms?
But why did he not issue them? If Toskin, this is your suit, I'm supposed to give it to you today. Why am I waiting to you to go do your job and come give you in the afternoon? You have to smell some mischief in it.
There could be a problem there, but then the manner in which he's gone about it, we've just heard, we've read in the papers right from yesterday that some of those officials, Stephen Soy, James Chacha, I think Pius and several other people, will appear in court today.
They have to.
But then, from what we've just said here, that maybe the minister may have jammed the gun, would that impact on the way the case is going to take its course?
Will definitely impact on the way the case, because if you have to go to court, just like we have issued, if he had an 8-member probe committee that is given up to 30th September, then he should let them work and give his report. He should have given NOC enough time to give their report, and then he should have acted after that. But then think about this on the other side of NOC, in as much as they have also a case to answer. I've just been speaking to Senator Hassan Omar, who was here before we came in, and he's telling me it is alleged that 20 MPs and about 90 officials were there as joyriders. Who paid for their trips? Who paid for their food and accommodation? Because we have a coach who was dismissed, like John Anzra, who didn't have, who was just had some shanty town to sleep in and didn't have even food to eat. So who paid for these MPs, and what was the purpose for MPs to go there?
That's what,
are they going to get votes from Rio?
We need a proper investigation into all this. But then the minister transferred the powers of NOC to Sports Kenya.
Sports Kenya, yeah.
Yes. Do you think the International Olympic Committee will come down on us with a hammer?
International Committee might react to that. But then if you follow the Sports Act 2013, he's in his jurisdiction to do that. You know, he did
But
according
then
to law.
Sports Kenya is not a national Olympic committee, because IOC
It's not
says,
exactly.
yes,
It's not
IOC
affiliation
says
to them.
it's only the national Olympic committees
That
that
are supposed to
yeah.
govern that.
Yeah.
So I
Just
think
hold that thought, because we have Chebunet from Eldoret. He would like to share with us. Chebunet, welcome. How's your morning, Chebunet? Talk to us.
It's good I'm through. First condolence to
Yeah.
Yeah, we Eldoret is sad, and we are looking forward to the funeral. Now, I think the first thing I would like to say is Hassan Wario should disband himself. He should disband himself. He should resign.
Yeah.
This is another saga like the one of Anwar Guru. And so the pressure is on him. The embarrassment in Rio cannot be tolerated. Remember, Kenya became number 2 in the world in athletics.
Yeah.
But that was through the efforts of a few athletes. And considering the performance of people like Aspen Kibrop,
Yes.
we were really affected by his performance.